going to talk about the Club of Rome and for radicals. I'll save one for tomorrow. Are you familiar with either of those two things?
I read a little bit about the Club of Rome, but if you want me to talk about it, I will have to read more about it.
Well, no, it's just like a quick synopsis of it because everybody was acting like confused that So remember the Mike Johnson thing from earlier this week, and they were even talking about it on PBD podcast. Like, Tom and Pat were saying, like, so like, who the hell is putting this thing in front of Biden, like making them cut off gas to Europe? Like, who would even want that? Why would they want that? You know what I'm talking about?
No, nobody in their right mind.
What? What are you saying?
Nobody in their right mind will want it.
Well, it depends how you look at the world.
What do you mean?
So if you think there's too many people here,
which I don't.
No, but some people do. How would you stop the amount of people that are here, or like the growth of the amount of people that are here?
Curving their growth.
Right. How would you do that?
Starving them.
Right. And how would you do that?
By, compromising their means of food production.
Right. And how would you do that?
Taking away their energy.
Right. So
did I pass, Professor Brandon?
Yeah, you got there. Well, it wasn't a smooth journey, but you got there.
An A+.
B-.
B-.
Yeah.
Take it.
So Club of Rome Limits Growth was published in 1972, right when Jimmy Carter gets in. The message of the book, or this PDF or this document, is that the Earth's interlocking resources, let's see, is this even going? The global system of nature which we live in probably cannot support present rates of economic population growth much beyond the year 2100, if even that long. Even with advanced technologies, in the summer of 1970, an international team of researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, began a study of the implications of continued worldwide growth. They examined the 5 basic factors that determine and, in their interactions, ultimately limit growth on this planet: population increase, agriculture production, non-renewable resource depletion, industrial output, and pollution generation. The MIT team fed data on these 5 factors into a global computer model and then tested the behavioral model under several sets of assumptions to determine alternate patterns for humankind's future. The limits to growth is the non-technical report of their findings. The book contains a message of hope as well. The authors state that the challenge of overshoot from decision delay is real, but easily solvable if human society decides to act, meaning that forward-looking policy can prevent humanity from overshooting the aforementioned planetary limits. So this cracks me up because, let's look at the 5 things they mentioned, all right? Let me accept all so I can zoom in. Why don't let me zoom in? All right, so the 5 things they mentioned, where is it? Population increase, agriculture production, non-renewable resource depletion, and pollution. So let's start with pollution. Pollution, super easy to stop. Just like we built ourselves up in a consumer society. And how often you hear politicians talking about pollution? Like, you hear them talking about climate change plenty, but like, we don't talk about the factories that are dumping chemicals into rivers. We don't talk about the islands of garbage in the ocean. Go ahead.
No, 100%. And they've been talking more about the global warming thing than pollution for the last few years.
Yeah. Which,
because you know why, Brandon? Because you can solve pollution.
Right.
Global warming is something you can't solve, so they can charge
or prove.
Yeah, or prove. But pollution, you can cut this factory from dumping, waste on this river. You can clean up this park. You can do this in a more, environmentally friendly way. It's measurable. Pollution is measurable.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a BS one out of their 5 for sure. Agriculture production. So, there's a lot of problems with the way that we do farming. Topsoil is not as high quality as it was before. There's not as much arable land, et cetera, et cetera. But they said the advancement technology can't solve this, but vertical freaking farming, the only thing holding that back from being a widespread thing that could generate food year round with no pesticides, with less water, like 1% of the water, and like unbelievable like benefits compared to the way we do right now. The only thing holding that back is energy. And we know we've talked about before at length all the ways that we could have higher, cheaper energy, like more powerful, cheaper energy, whether it's nuclear or 0 point energy. So if we use something like nuclear energy to um, power vertical farming, agriculture wouldn't be a problem. And dude, we pay our farmers to produce a limited amount of agriculture. It's not like we aren't capable of producing more. Like, you know how much food we throw away, or like I've heard of them paying farmers to destroy crops before to keep prices at a certain level.
Oh, and I agree. And add to that, Brandon, the level of automation that we're reaching.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't even have to tend the farm. Like we literally, especially on vertical farms that are
They're insane.
they're insane.
I don't know if people have seen them. I'll pull it up.
You could have robot arms taking care of
Drones.
your crops, drones. But they don't want to hear about it, Brandon,
Mm-mm.
because their solution.
Look at this shit. It's beautiful too. You see this on the screen?
Yep.
Yeah, it's freaking beautiful. But yeah, so what was I going to say with that? So farming is an interesting thing though, because it's like fundamentally flawed the way it works right now. And we were talking about today for like a topic that we were on, like the grossness that goes into big agriculture, and that like that's actually an act of terrorism to kind of highlight the nasty stuff that happens in that industry. We could talk about that a different day. Remind me sometime, guys. But
that was great, and then you brought it up today, this morning.
Did it come up in the podcast?
No, it didn't.
Hmm.
But I think that's a whole segment.
Should I wet the whistle right now?
No, Brandon, just
a little tease.
No, not even.
Okay.
They need to tune in tomorrow or the day after.
Persistently remind me about that, guys. Just say agriculture terrorism law. Okay, but
you already did it, Brendan.
But anyway, so my point with this is that farming, it's a weird thing, because we're gonna have to like stop doing it the way we're doing it right now, but also, it's going to displace a lot of people from jobs, and they're probably going to fight that and resist it. But we need like the systems in place to give us what we need from an agriculture standpoint before we like stop wasting the resources that we have right now in farming. Because like deflationary innovation, that's the biggest thing that's going to put more disposable income in our pocket. Like a head of lettuce at the store right now might cost what, anywhere from like $3 to $7, right? Depending on if you're going to Whole Foods or like Kroger's.
Yeah.
It should probably cost 3 cents, to be honest.
Well, if you take into account how expensive the fuel energy is for transportation.
Yep. Labor,
taxes related to like basic, food items. It's just insane.
Yeah, and like the refrigeration stuff. Like I remember we did a whole episode on this. Like the average distance from farm to store for food is like some crazy amount. Like it's like over 100 miles, or like a couple of days, where it's like in the back of a truck in a refrigerator, instead of like it being like, they should have vertical farms in the back of grocery stores for their produce section.
Oh, imagine how fresh that would be.
Yeah, it'd be insane. And dude, they don't need pesticides.
That would be insane.
Yeah, and they use 1% of the water. Like, it's such an amazing thing.
Oh man.
Yeah, cool things we're coming on to. But so that desalination, nuclear energy, like I don't want to hear this bullshit about limited amount of resources, guys. And then, we've shown population density maps before. Like, like, did you know everybody in the world, Texas is big enough for everybody in the world to have their own house in Texas?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. Everybody in the world could live in Texas in their own house. Like, it'd probably be disgusting, but that's a fact that Texas is so big that everybody in the world could live inside Texas in their own house.
So you're telling me, Brenda, we're not running out of space?
No, we're actually not even using close to like a fraction of all the space we have.
Get out of here, Brandon.
I know you know this, but I don't think too many people. I think like most people think that like the entire world is like New York City.
Come on. I don't think people are that ignorant.
No, yeah, a lot of people think that like we're just like shoulder to shoulder with each other everywhere, and like how mad I get when I hear people say the world's overpopulated.
It's underpowered. That's a response,
Yeah.
Brandon. Whenever someone, oh, the world's overpopulated, you go like, no, it's underpowered.
Mm-hmm. Under energized and under fed, but I mean, it's like neglecting our potential. That's what it is. And like, I hate wasted potential more than anything, but we're neglecting the shit and like not only neglecting it, but like actively fighting and opposing and killing people who try to step into it with our potential. We're like, they're fighting against our potential with their lives. It's crazy.
No, it is crazy. The enemy is on the inside.
Like we showed this map before. I think I've shown this map for like a different reason as part of a different conversation, like almost every week.
Oh God.
No, but it's true. Like, all that black is empty space. And the entire world's like that too.
Oh, forget about it. If you go to South America, if you go to Africa, China, you know how underpopulated it's the biggest in the world, but like by square, like by density, you know how underpopulated China is?
Yeah, look, so so the yellow is 0 to 50 per kilometer.
Yeah.
So yeah, like half of the surface area of China has like 0 to 50 people per kilometer.
See?
And it's like, what would you say that is? Maybe like 10 to 20% of it is those high population cities.
So everything that is on the coast. Well, but you need people need to know that the northern part of China is freaking cold, just as cold as Russia.
Oh yeah, it basically is Russia.
It is basically Russia.
It's like how the bottom of Chile is basically Antarctica.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, point being so why do they have this goal, this agenda? Like, do they not know that they're wrong, or like, are we missing something, or do they just want to have an excuse to get rid of people?
Oh, they're murderers, psychopaths, Brandon.
Well, it's a thing called being a Malthist, not in like a dirty way, like a Malthusian. You ever hear that?
No.
Oh wow, are you being sarcastic?
Yes. But the people at home need to learn.
Okay, thanks for playing dumb.
That should be my full-time job, Brandon, on the show.
Just to pretend you don't know things so I can explain them.
Yeah.
Malthusian is a theory that the population growth is potentially exponential according to the Malthusian growth model, while the growth of food supply and other resources is linear. Fucking stupid and wrong is what that is, which eventually reduces living standards to the point of triggering a population decline. This event, called the Malthusian catastrophe, known as the Malthusian trap, population trap, Malthusian check, Malthusian crisis, point crisis, has been predicted to occur if population growth outpaces agriculture production, thereby causing a famine or war. According to this theory, poverty, and it's funny how like they're afraid of a war in that scenario, but not in any other scenario. According to this theory, poverty and inequality will increase as the price of assets and scarce commodities goes up due to fierce competition for these dwindling resources, blah, 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 blah. This increased levels of poverty eventually causes depopulation by decreasing birth rates. If asset prices keep increasing, social unrest would occur, which would likely cause major war, revolution, or famine. So
basically, it's a socialist assumption of a zero gain game that we're gonna run out of things. Because the thing is, this people, Brandon, they don't know how to produce anything.
Right, and they aren't visionaries. Like that, like he says, that agriculture production is linear, and like their thinking is linear. Like they can't, they can't like perceive the concept of like creating a whole new invention that changes the world. Like like look at when they created the freaking I don't know, the assembly line or whatever, or the like they created factory jobs. Like it displaced all the people who would like work in the farm, or what was it, the cotton gin or something, like people used to have to pick cotton by hand, and then you could just like throw the cotton in the gin, or like the cotton gin would do it itself. Like it displaced a bunch of people that were doing that stuff, but then people were able to be more productive. Like we're constantly producing things that make things cheaper, but if only if we allow it to happen. Like actively fought against the things that would make us have the most disposable income and like the most abundant basic needs.
I mean, a great point, Brandon. I was actually going there with this point. I don't know if you're familiar with Moore's law.
I've heard that before. What is it?
That computers get exponentially faster over time.
Right.
All right. And that's how technology works. Like maybe population gets exponentially bigger, but the way we come up with these solutions and be able to generate more things,
Right.
it's not linear. Like we proved year over year that it's not linear. Like a great example of this is flat screen TVs. All right.
Yep.
Like 15, maybe 15 years ago when they came out, like a 32-inch TV will cost you an arm and a leg,
Yeah, like 10 grand.
like 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can pretty much walk into Walmart and get a very decent TV for 200.
Exactly. And that principle should follow with the most basic of things, not just the most advanced of things. Like it should follow with food, housing, and energy. But we're fighting that tooth and nail for some reason, which is like a crime against humanity. And like the biggest proof I could see that they don't want these things to get cheaper. Because like imagine a world where those three things, like right now, those three things, food, housing, and you could bundle in energy and transportation. So those four things probably cost somebody like the average person maybe 60% of their paycheck, right?
Yeah.
So imagine a world where those essential things that everybody needs cost like less than 10% of your paycheck. How much does that change society?
Oh, tremendously, because you can start putting away savings, and savings turn into investments, and investments they turn into wealth. Right?
Yeah, and it's in the people of the consumer economy freak out, but it's still good for the consumer economy because you have all that extra disposable income to buy bullshit with.
Well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the consumer economy.
Me neither, but it is really what like fuels a lot of things.
Yeah, it's I don't know, Brandon. It's just ridiculous.
What? The
That
consumer economy?
no, this whole thing is ridiculous.
But you made a good point though with computer speed and technological growth going at the same pace as the population because the here's population growth. You know, it goes crazy. Where was it? Goes crazy like in the Industrial Revolution. Shit. So yeah, look at this shit. It went fucking insane like when the Industrial Revolution started, right?
It goes same shit.
Yeah. So we're like right here. But at the same time, here's the speed of computers. Here's the speed of computers. Try to time that right. Moore's law. So boom, there you go. Is this the right thing? An observation that numbers of transistors on a microchip roughly doubles every 2 years, whereas its cost is halved over that same time frame. So the power doubles every 2 years, and the cost of it gets cut in half every 2 years. So why aren't we seeing that in everything? Like, why aren't we seeing the ease and speed of producing food get twice as fast every year, and the cost of food getting cut in half every year? Like the cost of those things should be exponentially going down, and the speed and quality of it should be exponentially going up. But somebody's fighting that. We know who that is.
No, but are we gonna get into economics?
No, but this isn't economics. This is social stuff.
I mean, economics is social science, Brandon.
Okay. But no, I'm not. We're not getting into anything. This is just kind of like the final point.
No, but you have Keynes versus Hayek, right? You have Keynesian economy that is inflationary, right? And
Keynesian.
Keynesian. How do you pronounce
Keynesian?
All right, because I was doing the German pronunciation.
Yeah, he's a demon. He's like the reason that he's the one people hear about the most is because his model was the most convenient or like the most exciting for the people that work in government.
Well, so if you have that model, Brandon,
Mhm.
Is it possible for food to go down?
I mean, if you allow the technology or a system where it gets really cheap to make, yeah. Like, even if you're adding money to the economy constantly, the price of things could still go down if you build them better, like you said with TVs. I use that example all the time because it's, like, the most jarring example.
Bistock has a really good case study on it, by the way.
What, the deflationary innovation?
Yeah, about TVs.
What does he say?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I hope produce it and I forgot about it, but I was
Well, I assumed something stood out since you brought it up, but never mind.
um
I said I assumed something stood out to you wanted to make a point on, but
and that what we discussed my role here is plain dumb. Right. And I don't want to get into a whole economics discussion this
okay.
time.
So Keynesians believe that because prices are somewhat rigid, fluctuations in any component of spending, consumption, investment, or government expenditures cause output to change. If government spending increases, for example, and all other spending components remain constant, then output will increase. Yeah, that's just a way to pitch the notion of government spending.
Well, actually, some people they've been doing some revisionist history
Mm-hmm.
about the Great Depression
Yep.
that used mostly Keynesian economics to to get out of it. They created a lot of jobs.
And what a crock of shit, by the way.
And they argue that if they used the Austrian school of economics to get out of the Great Depression, they would have done it like 10 or 15 years earlier.
Yeah, and it was really, I mean, I could make an argument that it was like socialist Keynesian tendencies that got them into the Great Depression because, so to understand why the Great Depression happened, you have to like look at when the Fed got started because the Fed's the reason the Great Depression happened. Like they go from having really low rates during the roaring 20s to like all of a sudden they just jack rates up super high out of nowhere with no warning, similar to today. And then, the market crashes, of course, because that was like the first time that they experienced like a really low rate environment and then, just jacking them up. And instead of cutting the rates, like they kept them up for a really long time. And then the banks weren't giving out credit. So it was almost like the Fed was like trying to do this to the economy with the way that the the rates were. And then yeah, FTR starts like the New Deal, the freaking Social Security stuff, saying that it was because of like greedy capitalists that all these things happen. But no, it's because of the fucking government instituted Federal Reserve that, like, I can't think of a more socialist thing out there than the Federal Reserve, where a group of people gets together every month and gets to decide what the price of money is. Like, we know, like, out of all things, we cherish the market. We always talk about how great the market is at setting prices accurately, but we will let a fucking group of people decide the price of money.
Well, that's what we're doing it, Brandon.
Yeah. No wonder the Great Depression happened.
Man.
Yeah. No, but there's some sick, dirty, twisted shit around the Great Depression that we could definitely get into someday.
Oh,
There's like a 45-hour long book about FDR that I've been meaning to read, but there's a lot of 45-hour. And the reason I quantify books in time and not pages is because I listen to them.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I think that's enough bouncing around for one night. We're close. It's 11 o'clock. Let me read some chats quick, and then we'll dip out. So let's see. Steve P said, "I've definitely got my neighbor. He's talking to Alan. FDR was a commie, 100%. We'll talk about that one day.
That video, and I gave you shit the other day.
What?
That video is a long time coming.
A video about FDR?
Yeah,
I know. I need to make a video about like a few different presidents that I have a serious problem with. And the fact that people say that FDR was one of the greatest presidents ever pisses me off more than most things in life.
it is infuriating. If people actually learned a little bit about we was it this week or the week before that we were arguing how many presidents would the average American be able to name?
It was probably last week. I said I think there's 8 that more than 50% of people can name. And I'm really excited to do that idea I said about finding out about who knows about it. Like it's such a good idea that I don't even want to tell the chat right now, even though I trust them deeply.
You trust them not. Let's just keep. We need to keep secrets.
I know that's why I said that's why I said I'm not going to tell the chat. I'll just do what I said I was going to do and then play it on here as a surprise sometime.
But
that was a good idea, though, right?
It's a great idea, and we need to. We might get someone on board to develop that the FDR video.
What's that? Sorry, I was reading a chat.
Oh yeah, we might have to get someone on board to develop the FDR video because it needs to be the best one that ends all other videos.
Yeah, like the decisive FDR video.
Yeah, it has to be done.
Mm-hmm. Vanessa says, I've always questioned the theory that there are too many people. We have so much land and so much potential. We are controlled by idiots. That's right, Vanessa. But don't worry, because stuff reveals itself and things are turning around a bit. But yeah, we can't let up on the pressure. We cannot get complacent. Alan Satoshi Greenspan and the Fed. Weird thing for the longest serving Federal Reserve chairman to say, Alan Greenspan, but I agree.
The Fed immediately.
Yeah. Alan Greenspan's an interesting guy to look into too, because why was he allowed to be the Fed chairman for so long?
Funny that Alan Greenspan picked Alan Greenspan.
That he wants that in the Fed?
Yeah.
Well, he has he intentionally picked an ironic name because Bitcoin is anti-money printing. Like it was created because of money printing. So he threw in Satoshi as the middle name.
I know. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. Seems like a cool guy here. Ignore how indoor grow houses can produce food all year round. Why cities don't have them in the malls says enough. Yeah, exactly. If you guys are interested, Jeff Booth's book, The Price of Tomorrow, delves into technological deflation. Hell yeah. I'll write that down. Well, all right. What's up?
No, man, a good show. We cover a lot of bases here.
I know. I feel like I could just live stream and complain about things all day, but
no, but
what fun would that be?
We give them some pearls,
old taste.
Yeah, and we give them some pearl of knowledge to our audience.
Yeah, some things to think about. And
what do you start, Paul? Did you learn something today?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that.